And of course, we're not talking about the other aspects of the SAVE Act that go well beyond ID, and it goes to which is also part of Jim Crow, the history, and that is when it comes to registration, you got to find your birth certificate. If you know where yours is, I have no clue where mine is.
Well, some geniuses think that before you can register to vote, you need a passport or your birth certificate. Do you have a passport or your birth certificate?
At the moment?
Do you?
I do.
But millions of people don't.
Good morning, America. How are you? I'm Rabbi Dave. Yes, it is early in the morning, much earlier than we normally do this. A couple of reasons for that. One, I'm not even going to get into, but the other one is because, well, I hate Canada.
Well, good morning, America. This is Friar Rod, and I have an extreme dislike for Canada at the moment, so yeah.
Yeah, I guess hate is probably too harsh of a word, but
yeah.
On this day, February 22nd, Washington's birthday, I think we're all united in our hatred for those bastard cheaters from the North.
Yeah.
Who, by the way, are gloating over their gold, air quote, medal in curling.
Oh, did the men win the gold medal?
They won the gold. And not only did they win the gold, but then they had the audacity to stand there and actually say, well, for all you people that accused us of cheating, accused, not caught you red-handed, accused you of cheating. We hope this image of us with our gold medal is burned into your brain. His actual words, burned into your brains.
Wow. No hubris there at all.
No, none at all. And the whole thing with them, basically saying that the Swedes set them up to get caught cheating. So they're gaslighting the Swedes about, how dare you do that? And have you ever seen a gold? Has there ever been a gold medal that comes as tainted as that one is?
No.
Maybe the 72 Soviet basketball one, maybe the French ice dancers, maybe. But I don't think
East German women that were more mannish and swimming.
Yeah, but I don't think they won a gold though, did they?
No,
not like that. It's been a crazy Olympics, man. I mean, it not only has it been fun, and look, all the semifinals for the ice hockey were amazing. Mm-hmm. 3 of the 4 games go into overtime. The only one that doesn't is ours. Even the bronze medal game was really good yesterday. Mm-hmm. The biathlon, the skiing stuff it's just been fantastic, but it's all overshadowed by this craziness that's going on. I mean, not only do you have the Canadians cheating at their own sport, curling, and okay, you can send me all the emails you want about, but David didn't change anything. Yes, it did. If it didn't change something, it wouldn't say in the rules, don't touch the stone.
Yeah.
And they clearly touched the stone. And then whined that, well, we got caught. Not that we did it. Not that we were cheating. They whined that they got caught by the Swedes doing it. So there's that. You got the whole French judge thing. But have you seen the other stuff with the bisexual, whatever the hell she is, skater?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who is now blaming her performance, which was right up there with the quad gods, on her menstrual cycle.
Oh, did she? I didn't see that.
Yes, she's now saying that the reason she was being such a bitch is because she was PMSing. And then it affected her performance.
Okay.
If that's not good enough...
Can men use that excuse when their women are PMSing? Hey.
Apparently. I mean... I watched
she was PMSing. She was PMSing, so it affected my performance. You don't have to deal with her off stage.
I've been there. Then you've got the gal that stole one of her teammates' credit cards, ran up a $2,000 bill on her teammates' credit cards, and then won the gold while her teammate finished like 80th. It's like, huh?
What sport was that?
Skiing.
Okay.
And then there's the guy that confessed on camera after one of his races that he cheated on his girlfriend. And then, and to make that one even better, then they went and found the girlfriend to interview her. Ask her what she's like, I'm still kind of processing here. What?
I just dodged a bullet.
It's crazy stuff.
Ever seen the movie Matrix where they Neo is like dodging the bullets everywhere? Yeah, that's his ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, I've had a few relationships like that where you look back at it years later and you go, what the hell was I thinking? And you realize, yeah, I kind of got lucky there. But where we have not gotten lucky, and by the way, just so you know, we are up early for, as I said, a couple of reasons. Number one, my schedule changed. Sorry, it just happened. This show is going to be very late because I'm not going to be here to edit it, but we needed to get it recorded. The other reason was because clearly I was going to be up at 5 in the morning anyway today. Because, and this is something that everybody around the country is bitching about, is this early game between the U.S. and Canada, which of course is not early in Milan, where I believe the closing ceremonies are tonight, are they not?
I think so. It should be wrapping up. And
so they've got to get this game done because this is the final event of the Olympics so that they can then have the closing ceremonies. Well, for them it's not early, but, for everywhere else in the world. Now, just by way of reference for that, this day, February 22nd, 1980, 46 years ago, was a watershed day for a lot of reasons. Number one, this is actually the day 46 years ago that I decided I was leaving home.
Okay.
I had a digital watch, and back
Casio?
Yes, of course. Back in those days, everybody had those. And at 2:22 p.m. on February 22nd, my alarm went off, beep, 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 and I had a conversation with my parents about the fact that I was leaving for the summer to go work at a summer camp up here in Eatonville, Washington. And I kind of put that as the day I decided to leave home.
Okay.
And I almost never came back. They made me come back because they wanted me to finish my senior year in high school. But at any rate, so there was that. And then, of course, there was the USA-Russia game, Soviet Union game, in hockey, which, of course, is known as the Miracle on Ice, which is just an amazing game. But do you realize that nobody in the United States, with the exception of the people that were in the arena in Lake Placid, which is in the United States, no one outside of that arena saw that game live. That game was tape delayed, even here in the United States, because it was played fairly early, and the networks wanted it to run later because, primetime TV. And I think we kind of lucked out there. I think if they'd have played it later, we might not have won. But at any rate, so I don't know why we're all around the country bitching about this game being so early. Did you see where Governor Hochul of New York suspended the state's liquor laws in New York? Normally, you can't serve liquor before, 8, 9, 10 p.m. a.m. or something. They were opening them up. Same in Minnesota. Basically,
those commies.
Yeah. Basically, there were all kinds of people saying, we're going to be drinking at 6 a.m., so... and the state was like, okay. In this case, we'll allow it, sort of thing.
Okay.
So. But people have been complaining about, it's too early. Yeah, all you people on the East Coast complaining about it, Tango Sierra. Try being on the West Coast, right?
Yeah.
Your evil time zones, which were created for...
I had that problem with the Premier League, every weekend just about, because there's always a game that's at like 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Well, your game yesterday wasn't at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m.
Oh, no.
Might as well have been, though.
Yeah, thanks.
Not saying that. So that's why we're up early. So, just so you know, even if you're listening to this a week from now, or a year from now, the game is on in my office. I don't know if it's on in Rod's office or not.
It is.
The game is on. I am watching the game. So even as we discuss WTF things, you may hear some explicatives, you may hear some cheering. All of that may come into play because, as I said, the game is on. And so far, so good, but knock on wood, we'll see how it goes. I thought we got off to kind of a flat start, but then our first shot on goal went in, so then Hellebach is looking really good. Speaking of things that drive me nuts, so I have not followed the Save Act's arguments that closely. To me, and this is just, a common sense kind of guy, it makes no sense. It has never made any sense that you don't have to show an ID to vote. And I have always just assumed, and yes, I know what the word assume means, but I have always just assumed that if you don't think that you should have to show an ID to vote, it's because you are trying to cheat. I just assume that about you. If you think that I shouldn't have to show an ID to vote in an American election, it's because you're trying to cheat. I don't even question that as that's not even axiomatic. It's reality. The only people who do not want IDs shown to vote are people who are trying to cheat.
They're trying to game the system.
That's all you're doing. There's no logical reason not to show one. Does that mean that the Save Act is going to solve that? I think it's a complicated mess of things when it needs to just be one line. You need to show a photo ID to vote. Is this person that person? You have to show a photo ID to get into a nuclear weapons storage area? And believe me, they actually look at it. They don't just go, well, okay, he's got a photo ID. They actually look at it. Does the picture match the person? Does the name match the person? That sort of thing. You have to do that to get on an airplane. I had a long argument with ChatGPT this week.
Did you?
About the Save Act and the Real ID Act. And the basic premise of this is the United States has passed this Real ID Act. You familiar with this?
Well, I'm not familiar with the details, but I'm familiar with the effect of it, yes.
Yes. The effect of it is you have to have a real ID, even if you don't want one. Now, they will tell you that you don't have to have one. Your state will offer you one that is not Real ID compliant. That's what they say. But reality on the ground is a hell of a lot different. Certainly up here.
It's either a Real ID or a passport to travel.
Yeah, you're not traveling without one of those. You're not getting.
They both require birth certificates.
They both require birth certificates. They both require, a Social Security card. They both require you to actually prove who you are. Which is weird because you need a passport then to travel to places like Germany, where they just held some kind of security conference where the governor of California, who is also running for president, even though he says he's not, was just there, wasn't he?
He was. So he had to have a passport.
He had to have a passport, which means that he has to know where his birth certificate is. Yeah. Or at least he had to know at some point because he showed it to somebody to get his passport.
I bet you he has a Real ID, too.
I guarantee he does because he's in California.
Yeah. So, he's got to have had his birth certificate, so, yeah.
So he's completely full of shit when he says he doesn't know where it is. Which, okay, I'll back it up. Maybe he doesn't actually know exactly where it is. But he has.
Yeah.
And the fact that he says that I don't know how to get one is laughable. And you people that are actually believing him when he says this, what are you, drunk? I realize it's 6 a.m. on a Sunday, but, it is Washington's birthday. Have a ball. You know how to get do you know how many birth certificates I've looked up in the last week for people who died 50 years ago? Take a guess. It's more 10. Than one. 10. Not quite 10, but...
Okay.
But I had to track down my grandfather's and my great-grandfather's birth certificates. Both of them have been dead. My grandfather died in 2000. My great-grandfather died in 1960-something. Okay?
And did you find them?
Yes. And you know what? It wasn't hard at all. And if I wanted... And all I did was look at pictures of them. If I wanted an actual copy, I'd just fork over $15. They sent me a certified copy with a stamp on it that says, this is official.
So, let's look at the mentality it takes for someone, the mental gymnastics to say that people can't find their birth certificates, right? What is the assumption in their mind that they are making about those individuals?
Well, that they're stupid or incompetent or ignorant or just basically they're
immigrants from a different country here illegally that can't get their birth certificates.
They're recognizing the fact that they can't get one because they weren't. And even people who weren't born here, it's not that much more difficult to call your home country and say, hey, I need a copy of this. But besides which, if you got here legally, you had to show it.
Yeah.
So this whole idea that having to have an ID to cash a check, open a bank account, get on an airplane, drive a car, I have to have an ID to log into the VA site. Do you understand that? To get into the VA site to check my benefits or whatever, I have to have an ID, a picture ID for a website. Now, I got people telling me, but what if I'm a veteran and I can't get one? Well, I'm pretty sure that if you can't get one, you weren't a veteran. Just going to say it. I come back to my basic premise, which is that if you believe that showing an ID to vote is somehow racist or somehow impossible or somehow whatever, you're not just stupid. You're not just ignorant. You're not just... You are intentionally ignorant. You are no different to me than someone who says, hey, Dave, the world is actually flat, and I can't believe you believe that it's round. You're lying. Because as I've told you, there are no actual flat earthers. Nobody actually believes that. You just say it to be interesting at parties. It's the same thing here. You're just saying this because you hate Donald Trump. That's it. That's all. That's the only reason you're saying it. You know it's not true. You know it's ridiculous. You know these things that Gavin Newsom have said is ludicrous. And the proof is in the pudding. The proof is the man was in goddamn Germany 2 weeks ago where he needed a passport to go. Believe me, the Germans are not going to let you in without a passport.
No.
You're not Tucker Carlson.
Are your papers?
Yeah, they're not going to do that. So he has a birth certificate.
Yeah.
He has a real ID. And that was my argument with ChatGPT is if we're going to require real IDs anyway, I don't see the problem. And, of course, ChatGPT's argument, based in court cases and the likes of that, I'm not saying it was completely pointless, is that, well, but your state doesn't require, air quote, you to have a real ID. You can not have a real ID, which I don't know about California because I left California before the actual thing went into effect. But here in Washington, sure, I could get an old ID. I could get the old style driver's license.
We had those, yeah. My kids, my two youngest had them. And in fact, our last trip to Hawaii, we realized as we were getting their documentation together, because they also had a real ID for their state ID. So they had a driver's license that was not real ID. But their real IDs had expired.
Right. Well, the argument is you don't have to get a real ID. But they make it so inconvenient for you to not get one. I mean, it's like you're putting them out if you don't get one. And you watch, I guarantee, I don't know about California, but here in Washington State, I guarantee you that within the next 3 to 5 years, a non-real ID compliant ID will cost more than a real ID one will.
Yeah.
Because that's how they do this stuff. So for all functional purposes, real ID has become the de facto ID of the country, whether you agree with it or not.
I would love to see the stats from the DMV as to the percentages of real ID versus non.
I bet you as you get closer to borders, like with Canada, it goes up. Maybe further south, not so much. Maybe Iowa, Oklahoma, probably not so much. But I guarantee you here in Washington, it's hard to get a regular ID here. They really push you when they send you to your renewals. If you have a regular one, it's for a real one, real ID. You got to come in and show this. And anyway, so the point of all this being that all these people who are saying it's hard to get an ID, hard to get this, hard to get that, they're full of shit, and they're doing it on purpose. It's nonsense. And the proof is in the pudding. Gavin Newsom knows exactly where his birth certificate is because he flew to goddamn Germany. Bernie Sanders lied about his birth certificate, said he didn't know.
Yeah.
He has a passport. He just went overseas. He just came back from overseas. AOC just went overseas to Germany. They know where their passports are. They know. They're lying to you. I know this is hard for some of you to understand. They're lying to you because they're trying to cheat at elections. It's the only reason to do that. And here's the bottom line proof. You ready? New York City Mayor, Mandami. Yep. You see what he did yesterday? So New York, of course, is getting inundated by snow. And because he's...
to cover up all the crap that's on the ground.
Yeah. And because he's such a competent mayor, they don't have any way to remove the snow. Now, up in Buffalo, they do this. Buffalo, New York, they do this for the stadium, for the Buffalo Bills. When they need the stadium cleared for snow so that they can play a football game, they put out a call and they tell people, well, come shovel snow, we'll give you a free ticket to the game. And people show up in droves to shovel snow at the stadium. It's a great idea, right?
And they probably show ID because hey.
Yeah, I mean, who cares at that point? But because they're not really getting paid, they're just getting a ticket to the game. So
yeah.
But here in New York City, where they have, I don't know, a whole lot of
income,
snow.
Dave. It's income. They have to report on taxes.
Probably. It's New York. So in New York City, where they're inundated with snow, and things are problematic because the governor doesn't know how to run things, or neither does the mayor, they don't have the ability to remove the snow. So they've put out a call for people to get a job shoveling snow. Like we used to do when we were kids, you go to your next door neighbor, hey, I'll shovel your walk for $3 and a cup of cocoa, something, sort of thing. Well, they put this out, and they put it out on a website, which was even more brilliant. The idea here is that you sign up online, and then you come down, and we'll pay you to shovel snow. But, ... in New York City, where they are screeching about how it's a problem, it's racist to make you show an ID to vote, they require, to shovel snow, they require you to have two forms of ID, one of which is a picture ID and one of the other is a Social Security card. And it says that right on their website. And in fact, the mayor himself said it. You bring your ID, we'll sign you up and send you out to shovel snow. And pay you. If that doesn't tell you that this whole argument over showing an ID to vote is bullshit, I don't know what else will. If that isn't convincing you, Gavin Newsom has his birth certificate. He went overseas. Bernie Sanders has his. He went overseas. AOC has hers. She went overseas. Mandami's wants ID to pay people. If you still look at this and go, well, it's too hard to get an ID and people are going to be disenfranchised, there's nothing else I can do for you. You are clearly captured by an idiotic system, and you don't actually believe it because nobody possibly could at this point. The geometry, the mathematics, the reality of it is the only way you can possibly believe this is if you choose not to. And if you choose not to, there's nothing I can do for you.
Yeah.
For some reason, my watch is talking to me. I don't know why. I don't know what to tell you.
It's our beloved friend Bill.
Yeah, I saw that, but that's not what my watch was talking about. So, at this point, the SAVE Act, I don't know if the SAVE Act is good or not. I like most bills in Washington, it's too verbose. All it needs to say is you have to show an approved ID to vote. Period. That's all it needs to say. One line.
Yeah.
But like most things in Washington, they've turned it into this clusterfuck, kind of like a 5-on-3 power play. But at the same time,
that we've almost completely survived.
Almost 6 more seconds and we will. Sorry, we're still distracted by all this. I don't know what to tell you. I really don't. But at that point, again, you're no different. If you honestly look me in the face and tell me that you really believe that it's too hard to get an ID because you can't get a birth certificate, you are literally no different than a flat earther. You're lying through your teeth. You know it's not true. And so by saying it, all you're doing is proving the point. Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
No, I'm completely serious about this. During the break, we're talking about the hockey game, and I have a hard time watching some sports anymore because it just stresses me out. And I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I've gotten to the point in my life where people don't want to be around me during Bronco playoff games.
Well, and in your defense, this is playoff style hockey right now.
Definitely playoff.
The intensity of it, for anyone who watches hockey, you know the difference between regular season and playoff. This is totally playoff.
This is above that even, I think.
Yeah.
This is
super intense.
This is Soviet Union type stuff here. I mean, it really is. So I have a hard time watching. 2 years ago in the World Series, in 2024 World Series playoffs, I made a conscious decision to myself that I was just going to watch the games, the Dodgers. Mm-hmm. I was just going to watch it and enjoy it. I wasn't going to stress about it. And I had a great time. And, of course, the Dodgers win the World Series. Last year I had a harder time because I didn't realize this until later. It took me till probably Max Muncy's home run in Game 7 to actually get into the World Series because I was still really upset about the Mariners not being there. And it's that point that I realized that my love for the Mariners is getting close to where it is for the Dodgers. Okay. And it was hard. I mean, I was so pissed at Toronto. I was so pissed at the manager for the Mariners who made that pitching change. Anyway, so I have a hard time watching sports sometimes, the Broncos especially. I get really, really tense and people don't want to be around me. And it's like, because I don't know what it is, but my teams never win in blowouts. They never do. If this game was 7-0 already, I'd be fine. I'd be like, okay, let's just get it over with. But because it's 1-0, it's like, and it just builds and builds. And yes, I'd rather have it that way. But at the same time, I don't know how much more stress I can take. Speaking of stress and sports, up here in Seattle, I guess we love our teams. I guess I can say we, because as I said, I became a Mariners fan in 1982. I've been an intense Mariners fan for many years, but it was never on the same level as I am with the Dodgers, but it has become that, and especially last year. So I do love the Mariners. I'm just going to tell you that. I'm not a Seahawks fan, but I was okay with the Seahawks winning the Super Bowl, mostly because I still think that if the Broncos had beaten the Patriots, if Bo Nix had not broken his ankle, I'd be wearing a Broncos Super Bowl T-shirt right now.
You think so?
I'm convinced of that. That aside, I'm not anti-Seahawks. I hate their uniforms, but there you go. I've had a very hard time with the Kraken.
Release the Kraken.
It's number one. The name is just not. I just don't think it's that good of a name. I just don't.
The Kraken is not a good character in mythology.
Especially since it's not Krakens, it's Kraken.
Yeah.
Like, I hate these singular names. I really do. I just don't get it. But their color scheme I like. I just haven't been able to get into the team. And part of that is the Climate Pledge Arena, which is this ridiculous green energy climate change. Yeah, that's what it's called. Ugh. And the seats, the last hockey game I went to was in Denver in 1987. And it cost me $50 a seat. I took my dad, and we went and saw the Avalanche play Vancouver. It's his first hockey game he'd ever been to, and he loved it. And we had a great time. But it was $100 for both of us. You can't get in the door now between the ferry ride, the gas it takes, the ticket prices, everything. You're not getting in the door for a Kraken game for less than $200 a person.
That's ridiculous.
It's outrageous. Well, just buy season tickets, then they're cheaper. Yeah, if I had $12,000 to start with. I mean, geez. So, in some ways, it's become like the NFL, where I'd just rather sit at home and watch it anyway.
Yeah.
But there is something about a hockey game at the arena that unlike other sports, is. So, Seattle has kind of embraced the Kraken. Where it fell down was the Kraken had a great first season, and they've sucked ever since, and that doesn't help things. It doesn't help build fan rapport. The one team in Seattle that has always had just undying support, win, lose, or leave, is the Seattle Supersonics. I have been to Supersonics games. Back when I lived here in the 80s, when I was stationed here in the 80s, I used to go over there because the Jazz, which was when I liked the basketball, which I don't anymore, but when I did, the Jazz were my team. I'm from Utah. And yes, it's another singular name, but Jazz's doesn't make any sense, I guess. Neither does Utah Jazz in the big scheme of things, because there really isn't any. But
yeah, of all things, right?
But at the same time, I used to go. And back when I went, they played in the Kingdome. Mm-hmm. They would rearrange the Kingdome for that. And the Sonics were always well supported, well beloved. Even when they sucked, they were good. But then
what about
again,
the Sounders?
The who?
The Sounders. Seattle Sounders, the MLS team. They're popular.
Never heard of them. No, I have heard of them. Yes, the Sounders have this ridiculous support base that's...
They do. Out of all the teams, I think, nationally,
all the MSL team, they're the only one that's actually... Whatever. They're the only one that's actually fiscally stable because they do have good support. But yeah, I don't care about that. So the Sonics played in the Kingdome, and then when the Kingdome shut down, they had to move to the Key Arena, which was terrible. The Key Arena was just a shithole. Mm-hmm. And they wanted a new arena. You know, kind of like Climate Pledge Arena that they built so they could get a hockey team. The Sonics wanted that. And the city and state of Washington kept saying, well, it's expensive. And it is. This is not the argument about whether or not states or cities should be funding arenas. That's not what this is about. Except that if you're going to do it, like you did it for the Kraken, shouldn't you do it for a team that you actually like?
Yeah.
So they didn't. They basically told the Sonics, no. And the Sonics owner said, well, I can't make any money without a new arena, so I'm selling the team. And then everybody started panicking. Oh, my God. And the guy that bought the team was the guy that owned Starbucks at the time. And everybody said, because he's from...
Seattle.
And the first thing he did was move the team to Oklahoma City, where they became the Oklahoma City Thunder, not Thunders, Oklahoma City Thunder. And they won the NBA title last year before, I don't remember.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, look, I'm an Oklahoma City native. Yay. I hate basketball, so who cares?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also the Seattle Supersonics winning that, not the Oklahoma City Thunders. So up here, there's a lot of negative reaction to all that.
I say stuff like that with the Oakland Raiders. They're losing that, right? Because that's what they do. They lose. But it's the Oakland Raiders.
Through all of this has been this mindset that the NBA is going to have to expand. The National Basketball Association is going to expand, and in expansion, they will bring back the Seattle Supersonics, much like the NFL did with the Cleveland Browns. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Cleveland, when the Browns moved to Baltimore, Cleveland got to keep all the records, all the information. It's the same team functionally as far as the NFL is concerned. It's just a new expansion team. So that's the same deal was given to Seattle with the Sonics. If the Sonics come back, they just pick up right where they left off. And so for however many years it's been now, there's been this mystique about the Sonics. Is this the year the Sonics come back? Every time David Stern holds a press conference, people in Seattle hold their breath because they think this is going to be the announcement. We're getting the Sonics back. We're getting the Sonics back. And this past week, that hit a fever pitch because apparently Stern said something about the Sonics coming back. He did not announce it, but he mentioned it casually in a conversation a couple of weeks ago. And so now everything has been about, well, the Sonics are coming back. The Sonics are coming back. In the meantime, the Washington State Legislature, oh, nice. Knock him down. Take his wallet. Anyway, there's a fight.
Yeah, there's some kind of fight going on.
The Washington State Legislature is passed a new law, or is in the process of passing this law, to assess a millionaire's income tax.
Because that's worked out so great in California.
Well, even better, we have a constitution in the state of Washington that says there shall be no income taxes. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Not, well, only if they're on rich people or only at a certain, none. Zip. None. Nada. That's in our Constitution. So naturally, the state Democrats have passed a law, because they have a majority up there, saying, no, we're going to pass a millionaire's tax on income. Now, through this whole thing, we have this online system where you can tell the government how you feel about a bill, pro or con, without actually showing up to tell your representative. So they have this online system. The online system has been overwhelmed by people saying no to this. So the Democrats' response to this, I'm not making this up, the Democrats' response to this yesterday or Friday was, oh, that's just bots filling out the thing saying no.
Of course.
Well, the problem with that is when you go to the form, you have to click the button that says, I am not a bot. Click. Which apparently the bots haven't figured out how to do yet.
It's a CAPTCHA.
It's CAPTCHA.
Some type of
you have
CAPTCHA,
to figure that out. You have to fill that out in order to. So, no, dumbass, they're not bots. People don't like this bill. The Democrats don't care. They've also publicly said they know that the Supreme Court is going to allow this to happen, the Washington State Supreme Court, meaning that they've already bought off the Washington State Supreme Court. Okay. So they're going to push this through. Well, then comes the Super Bowl, where the Seattle Seahawks win the Super Bowl, and our star quarterback has to pay more money than he actually won in the Super Bowl in taxes to California. And everybody went...
Because he played in California, yeah.
Yeah, and he's a California resident. But everybody kind of went, well, that's fucked up. Without ever making the connection. So, there's a list of people that have signed up to actually testify about the bill. One of whom is the NFLPA, National Football League Players Association, who wants to explain to the state legislature that, you know, your team is now for sale. The Seahawks are now for sale. And if you keep taxing players like they're a sponge or something for you to just wring out, nobody's going to want to play here. If nobody wants to play here, then your team is going to suck. And when they suck, they're not going to make any money, which means the owners are going to go, we need to make money.
Yeah.
And they are literally already talking about the Seattle Seahawks, the Super Bowl champion Seattle Seahawks, moving out of state because of this tax that they're talking about.
Of course.
It's insane. Oh, and one of the other people that's going to talk about this bill is the NBA Players Association. And they have already... Shit. Sorry, Canada just scored. They have already had conversations with David Silver, the NBA commissioner. They have had off-record conversations with him about his concerns about how are you going to pay for this team if you're taxing these players who aren't going to want to play here because you're taxing them through the roof?
Yeah. So
you might want to put that whole, hey, the Sonics are coming back thing on the back burner because nobody's going to want to play for you. Unless you think this is ridiculous, this has never happened. Back in the 90s, and I can't remember the name of the player, there was a baseball player who was traded to the Montreal Expos. Refused to go. Said, I'm not paying their taxes. I'm not going. And wouldn't go. Players would not sign with the Expos because of the ridiculous taxes. Now, in fairness, apparently it hasn't hurt the Blue Jays. Although, in fairness, if the Mariners manager knew what the hell he was doing, they wouldn't have been in the World Series. But that's a story for another day. So, is it reality or is it not reality? But I do know this. This is a fact. The NFLPA, David Silverstern, whatever his name is, the commissioner of the NBA, have all expressed extreme concern about this tax and its effect on sports here in Washington and Seattle specifically, which makes me wonder what's going to happen to the Mariners. because players now are going to start going, yeah, I know they're really good, and I know they have a chance, but I could make more money playing for the Cardinals.
It'll become a farm club.
Yeah, again, which is at one point we were the farm club for the New York Yankees. Yeah. I mean, George Argyros, the owner back in the 80s, used to trade everybody to the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
And so this idea, this millionaires tax, which then you have the issue of, okay, so what happens when all the millionaires start leaving, as they already are?
Yeah.
Companies have left Seattle. They've gone to places like Bellevue, which is, again, just down the road, but it's not Seattle. So they don't have to pay those Seattle payroll taxes. Well, if those taxes hit the whole state, where are they going to go now? We've seen companies moving out. We've seen companies moving out of California. Who's going to pay those taxes then? Because they're spending money.
Yeah, California's got the billionaire tax going on right now, and now all the billionaires are leaving, right?
Right.
And so, okay, no, there's not going to be anyone to pay that tax. So what they'll end up doing is adjusting it down.
Yes. Well, they're going to have to, because they're not going to say, they're not smart enough to say, well, for example, this millionaire tax here in Washington, if it goes into effect, and I'm not convinced that it will, but if it does, they don't see a dime in revenue before the end of 2029.
Yeah.
So really, it's 2030 before they actually see any money from this. But they've already allocated the spending.
Of course.
So what happens if you don't get it?
It'll be a huge deficit, and they're going to have to adjust the income rates.
Kind of like a state saying, oh, yay, Facebook is going to make an IPO, and we're going to make billions from this. We're going to go and we go and spend all that money, and then the IPO happens, and the IPO is like, haven't seen that happen before, have we?
Not at all.
Not recently, anyway. Again, would I be excited about the Sonics coming back? I'm not a huge NBA fan. I'm just not.
No.
I watch, the only basketball I watch is Pacific University. It's college basketball, but it's not the big.
Yeah.
It's good college basketball where it actually makes sense. Had a great game last night, lost to Gonzaga, but as a general thumb, another fight. All right.
With 0.2 seconds left or something like that?
Yes. So it's just not my thing, but would I like to see the Sonics come back? Sure. But if this state is so hell-bent on just chasing businesses out, including sports, where does that end? I'll tell you where it ends. It ends up with your mayor standing on television going, please come down and shovel the sidewalks, but bring 2 forms of ID.
Yeah.
Welcome back. I'm Dave.
I'm Rod.
So, I have been a Windows user for many, many years. I was using Windows back when it was Windows. I don't even think they had a version number.
Win 3.1.
Yeah.
Was their
first. There was something before that, though. Shell. Windows DOS Shell.
Maybe.
Yeah. I was a DOS power user. I mean, I used to program DOS. And I went to Windows 95. Windows 3.1. I installed Windows 3.1 on my first machine in August of 1995. It was after Windows 95 came out. And the only reason I did it was because Excel tabs. I love Excel tabs. I don't know why. I couldn't explain it to you, and you couldn't get that in the DOS version, which was absurd. But that's the only reason I did it. I've been a Windows guy for years. I'm not going to sit here and argue with you about it. You know, people, my son will. Oh, Linux is better, blah, 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 blah. Maybe, but my brother was an Apple guy.
Okay.
And he would get me with Apple this, Apple that. And my only argument to that was always, well, let's go down to the software store. Back then, it was I don't remember what it was. CompUSA. And let's see what they're actually selling here, software-wise. Mm-hmm. Here's 3 programs for Apple, and here's 1 million for PC. So, now all that said, in later years, I have become an Apple guy. I have a MacBook that I have learned to like. And the reason it works now is because there's so much compatibility between the programs now.
Yeah.
So it's not as... What I don't like is why the fuck they have to use their own, Control-C, Control-V.
Yeah.
I don't need Command-Control-C, Command-Control-V. Make it the same. But they don't want to do that for reasons that are... But otherwise, I use the MacBook when I'm out traveling, and I use a PC at home.
I've been a PC guy from the get-go. In IT supporting, I had to support DOS, I had to support Win31, and then 95 when it first came out. And then beyond that, I was introduced to Linux later on. I would say probably in the early 90s, mid 90s, was introduced to Linux. So I just started playing with it as a hobbyist. And for me, it wasn't there for daily use yet. Didn't have any Apple experience until I went to work for a university. And then I decided, well, I got to do security for this. I might as well understand what the Apple is. And I loved it, actually. From a user perspective, I loved it.
All of my devices. I have an iPad, I have an iPhone, I have an iWatch, and now I have a MacBook. And I like the interconnectivity to it. All that said, if you were to ask me how Apple iOS works, I couldn't tell you. I have some understanding of how Windows works. Mm-hmm. Because I understood DOS and because I understood how they went to DOS shell and then to Windows, and it's very similar to what we did in Fire Control with a monitor and executive programs and all that. Yeah. What I've never actually concerned myself with was the interior workings of it. Mm-hmm. But I do know this, Rod. When politicians get involved with stuff...
No, it's no bueno.
Especially stuff that I know that they don't understand, and the reason I know that they don't understand it is because I don't understand it, and these people are not smarter than I am by any stretch of the imagination. You will never convince me that a politician is smarter than me. You're just not going to. Because they always hide behind
smart people don't get into politics.
Right, exactly. And they always fall back. The politician excuse for everything is, well, if you knew what we knew, you'd see it our way.
Yeah.
Then shut up and tell me what it is. And my internet connection is unstable. So if I'm cutting in and out, well, there you go.
Okay.
But now we've realized that Colorado Democrats, the state where I grew up, Colorado Democrats,
wisdom,
have introduced new legislation which would require operating systems such as Linux or Windows, and I assume iOS, even though it's not listed here.
Which is really stupid because you would have thought that Windows and Apple are the 2 primary ones. Linux is this very small sliver of users.
Right. Exactly. They want these operating systems to perform age verification at the system level. Now, this would apply to all operating systems, open source and proprietary. Open source operating.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. It would apply to all of them, including Mac OS. So it is there.
Yeah.
And it would require the OS, the operating system, to set a user's age upon account creation, and store that in the system for reasons that make complicated. You have to provide an API for application developers to request an age or age bracket for the user. And oh, by the way, they're going to fine you $7,500 for an intentional violation of the bill, which would include refusing to implement the age verification. And I sent this to Rod saying, WTF?
Yeah. Well, and so the first thing that caught me, I mean, Windows could potentially do this just because everything is cloud-based for them now, right? You're using a Microsoft attached account for all your Windows devices, so it kind of tracks your ID or that. So they could potentially manage that.
But how would people that can't get an ID use this? It's not fair.
Well, that's the thing, is it's still subjective. I mean, I don't know how they could validate that unless they're doing some sort of heuristics, which the bill does talk about being able to verify through the use of the computer what the age is. But a lot of people also a lot of adults share their accounts with their children and let their children play.
Yes.
But the main thing that struck me was the open source aspect of it. They obviously do not know how open source works.
There's a shock.
Right? Because open source, for those that don't know, is usually a collective public build. The code is openly available. People can modify it. They check it in. There's usually someone who kind of oversees and reviews the code before it gets published publicly. But there's not any one company. There's Red Hat, Linux. There's Ubuntu that have a business side, but the desktops are all free. Yeah. Free to download, free to install. They're not going to collect all that information.
So here's the question then. How are they going to fine anybody $7,500 for this? And does such a law passed in Colorado mean anything in Washington, California, Iowa, Georgia, Virginia?
No, I don't think it does. And even if California passed something like this, I don't know how you would implement that on those operating systems. You'd be driving people to it, and then those operating systems would probably just ask, what's your age? Oh, okay. I'm 25. All right. Thanks. But providing an API means that that's a hook into your personal system.
Right.
That an external system can hook in and pull, which, that's such an invasion of privacy and such a security hole. Oh, my gosh.
Because you're going to have to provide this information that's now being stored. Information that, by the way, I guess if you're a poor minority or a woman, you can't actually have because it's impossible for you to get this information. You can't. How are you going to find it?
So the open source community will have a version of their software that doesn't have this included that you could just download and install.
Right.
And they're not going to track as to if being Colorado or not.
Distros will now have a checkbox in their ISO download page that reads, I declare I don't reside in Colorado. Click.
Yeah. And that's where your age is registered or whatever. But open source is really, it's a collective of people that are volunteering their time, usually.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to throw in VPNs and everything else on this. How is Colorado going to even remotely enforce this? Those are all great questions, Rod, but then the real question is, who the hell's pushing this? Who's the legislator that sat down with some lobbyist somewhere and went, yeah, that's a great idea?
Well, they're pushing this everywhere, though, for a lot of different things, right? In California, it's cell phones, social media for no one under the age of a certain age. But I'm like, right. How do you do that without knowing the age or start tracking the ages of everybody?
Yeah. And
so it's really mass surveillance is what they're after.
Well, and that's what people are pointing out here. Requiring age verification at the OS level means that every device becomes a mandatory ID checkpoint. Well, Bernie Sanders and Gavin Newsom and Mandami are all telling me, and AOC are all telling me, we can't do that because you can't get your ID because it's too hard, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you're a woman and you changed your name.
So you need your ID to log into your computer, but you don't need your ID to vote.
Right. How are these transgender people getting new IDs?
I don't know.
Because it's not on their birth certificate that way, right?
Well, they've been trying to change that for a while,
no,
right?
No, but how are they doing this? Because if they can't find their birth certificate, how are they supposed to... Do you see how ridiculous this whole thing is? Mm-hmm. Do you start to understand, folks, that if you actually believe this bullshit, number one, you don't actually believe it because you're smarter than they are and you know that it's not true, which means that the only reason you're spouting it is because you hate Trump. Welcome back. I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And as the second period wound down, boy, this is getting what we in the hockey world refer to as chippy. Which is one of my favorite words. It's getting chippy out there.
In the last 5 minutes of the period, they had how many fights?
At least 3 that I saw. Who knows how many hits? Anyway, the game is tied 1-1, and I'm going to be a disastrous wreck if I sit here and try to watch this live. So they're not going to be able to do that. But there you go. So next week, Rod is in Georgia.
I'm in Georgia. We're still going to record.
We're gonna give it a shot. We've had some issues today. Hopefully they didn't show up on the actual recording, but
I don't think so. You still hearing me drop out?
Yeah, no, it's not been as bad. But so this is like the third time we've started the show today because it's like things keep weird now. Plus, maybe it's the early morning thing. I don't know. Like I said, I got up at 5 because I wanted to watch the game.
I got up at 5:30, which is my normal work time.
But we've been watching the game since we started recording at 6. Normally we record at 8:30. It's housekeeping stuff. Normally we record at 8:30 on a Sunday morning. That's our normal routine. However, that is often interrupted by the fact that my wife is supposed to get off work at 7:30, which is why we do it at 8:30, but oftentimes does not. So,
to which I get a string of text messages from Dave complaining about it.
Right. And then this morning, I don't even know where to begin. My Sunday schedule for today has been completely foobarred.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not even going to be here at 8:30. So we decided, well, let's just do it at 6, and then I'll edit it whenever I can. So obviously this will be delayed today getting up there. We apologize for that. We'd usually try to have it out by noon Pacific, 2 Pacific at the latest, but not going to happen today. So enjoy it while you can. And of course, by the time you listen to this, you'll know the result of the hockey game.
Yeah.
We do not. And there you go. So Rod will be in Georgia. We will record. I think next week we should do. What are you going to? You're going to use a.
I have a tablet.
Yeah.
So I can record to it. I can put Audacity on it. I just don't know. I'm going to have a headset. I'm either going to have a headset or my earbuds. So I don't know the quality.
I think maybe next week I'll just go out back and use my MacBook and.
Oh, there you go.
We'll just do it like we're on the road or something.
We'll consider it the unplugged episode, right?
Now, yeah, something like that. See how well it works, and if it comes out crappy, then we won't do it. The week after that, however, I will not be here. So next week will be that, and then we'll be taking a week off because I have to be elsewhere that weekend, and there you go.
Okay.
All right, I'm ready for the third period. How about you?
I'm ready. I'm ready to watch this. So,
on that note, stop listening to these idiots tell you how hard it is to get an ID. You're smarter than they are, much smarter than they are. And, oh, by the way, they're lying to you. Anytime a politician who just came back from Europe tells you that it's hard to get an ID, it doesn't know where his ID is, doesn't know where his birth certificate is, he's lying. I know that's a hard concept for some of you to get through. Let me try this. He's not telling the truth. I know that's a hard concept for some of you, but it's reality. They are FOS. And on that note, I'm Rabbi Dave.
I am Friar Rod.
And this has been a live hockey version of
What the Frog?